Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Current Church. It is so great to see all you guys here on this fantastic Back to School Sunday. I got my friend Ben up here with me today.
Sounded like we're getting ready to race.
Yeah, let's go.
Very well done. Hey, I'm Ben, lead pastor. This is Ryan. He's our adult ministries director and groups director as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Hey, if this is your first time here, we would like to say welcome. Welcome to Current Church. I hope you had a great time just coming in here, finding where we're at. There's going to be a QR code on the screen behind me. If you want to scan that QR code, tell us a little bit about yourself. I'll take this time to tell you a little bit about us. So here at Current Church, we exist to encourage and equip people to become a follower of Jesus Christ, no matter where you are in your spiritual faith. No matter if you've been a Christian your entire life, or if you're just trying to figure out what it means to be a Jesus follower, or you don't even know what you believe. We want to meet you where you're at because we truthfully believe that being a follower of Jesus makes you better and makes you better at life. We truthfully believe that. One of the things we do, and as you're filling that QR code out, one of the things we do, we want to be for St. Joe. We see it all the time. We got bumper stickers that say we're for St. Joe, and you can actually help us be for St. Joe today. When you fill it out and send it to us, you'll receive an email back, and you're going to see an example of different nonprofit organizations that do an amazing job here in St. Joe. And if you just let us know which one, you can help us be for St. Joe. We'll send $5 on your behalf to that nonprofit organization just for visiting Current Church. And one other way we're for St. Joe, I just found out this morning. It is Back to School Sunday. If anybody of you still needs backpacks, if you need backpacks at all, we actually have backpacks out in the lobby right now, ready to give some kids. If you know anyone that needs a backpack, or if you need a backpack for back to school, we want to be for St. Joe and help supply that. So that's awesome.
that was phenomenal.
Yeah.
That was amazing. I was so drawn in to everything you're saying.
Yeah.
That was great. And by the way, I think you mentioned this, maybe you didn't, but in addition to sending a financial gift to your choice of nonprofit, if you fill that out, we actually send out a $5 gift card to you as well, to a local business that we like to support. It's called Hazel's. If you like coffee or other fun things that Hazel's provides, you can get $5 worth of Hazel's for free on us, just by letting us know you're here today. So yeah. Speaking of back to school, today we're calling it our back to school bash. Your kids, if you have kids in the other room, they're having a blast today. They're doing some fun games and learning some fun things. And so we thought, it's only fitting that we have a little bit of fun in here as well, because I know you guys are all anxious about back to school stuff if you're a parent. And so, let's relieve some of that anxiety today by having a little bit of fun. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a little pop quiz.
Woo, pop quiz.
And there's prizes involved. So here's how this is going to work. We need 3 volunteers from out there. 3 volunteers that are going to come up here and join us.
Yeah,
I see a hand. I see another
Nate.
hand. Okay.
Yeah, all the way up there, Channing. I see one all the way up there.
All right, there we go.
All right,
There's
come
3 of
on
them. Come on
down.
down here.
You're the next contestant on Don't Trip Over the Cords.
Yeah. Oh, hey, yeah. By the way, watch your step over there. You trip over those cords, we don't have service. That's how that works. Okay, so I'm going to give each one of you one of these boards. Ryan is going to ask you a series of questions. You're each going to answer it. And then, well, you'll see how it works once we get to the questions.
You'll flip the board over, and we're all going to judge you.
Well. Here you go, little eraser.
We're going to see which one has the best answer. Are you guys ready? We're going to do our first one here. I'm going to read it out loud to you. All right, ready? First question. What is 2 plus 2? Wrong answers only. Most creative wins.
2 plus 2. Wrong answers only.
5, 4.
Most creative
all right, let's see what they got.
Wins. Hold on. We got to give them time. Where you want to start?
All right, let's start right here. What do you got?
Nate says
heart.
Oh, it's 2 2s.
It's 2 2s.
I like it.
2 2s.
That is creative.
Makes the heart. All right. What do you got, Heidi? 2 plus 2 equals question mark? Question mark?
Okay.
Anyone?
Also playing with the 2. I like that.
Yeah, with the 2 there. All right, what do you got? 2 plus 2 equals 22. Oh,
okay.
he just truncated it.
What are we going with, Ryan?
Or concatenated it. What do you guys think?
I think Nate.
Nate? Oh, Nate. Okay.
The heart made of 2s was pretty cool.
All right, the heart made of 2s. All right, next question. Are you ready? Next question. If Jimmy has 2 missing shoes, 2 Lunchables, and 1 overdue field trip form, and school starts at 8:15, what time did his mom lose her mind?
Ready, go. What time did his dad?
What do you guys think? Take a,
Lose his
maybe take
mind.
a little bit there too.
Oh, you're saying she's got an advantage on this one. I got it. Yeah.
All right, are you ready, Nate? All right, what is Nate's answer? His birth.
His Wow. That's
Okay.
actually
Okay. What do you
Nate's-
got, Heidi? Yesterday. Duh.
okay.
All right, and we got
Channing says
7:30.
7:30.
7:30. All right, what do we
All
think?
legitimate answers.
What do we got? I hear Nate. Okay, Nate's sweeping the board.
Okay.
All right, another question. Here
I
we
think
go.
there's 2 left. So
Two more questions.
There's still time.
Here we go. State an emotion that comes to mind when you hear parent-teacher conferences. Best answer wins. What's the emotion that comes to mind? Parent-teacher conferences.
Channing might have a different
Oh,
answer
yeah,
than these
Channing's
two.
going to have a much different answer.
I gave you an eraser. Oh,
All right, we ready? All right,
let's
what's
start over
Nate's
here.
answer?
Let's start over
Oh,
here.
let's start over here.
Hey, that's an emotion. that comes
he's
to mind. I like it.
just
Okay.
blank. I love it. Oh,
Okay.
What is? That looks like something out of a Tim Burton movie.
That's a nice picture. Okay.
Frazzled.
How'd you draw
All
that
right.
that fast?
What's this one? All right. Who wins? What?
I hear a Heidi.
Channing. I see Heidi.
A Chan-
Channing. I think I hear Channing for Mama there. Is that
I was going to
correct?
say from a family
Do you-
member,
do you
I'm
have-
sure.
is
Yeah,
that-
okay.
is that the
All
right answer?
So Channing wins.
Channing
Got it.
wins that one.
Last one. This one's a little bit different, though.
All right. Dramatically act out the phrase. All right, whiteboard's down.
I'll take them.
Dramatically
I'll take
act out the phrase, "Where's your backpack?" as if you're in a suspense movie.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to start one at a time here, okay? Where's your backpack as if you're in a suspense movie? And action.
Okay. Well done.
Oh, yeah, let's give
Round
it
of
up.
applause.
Yeah, that was
There we
awesome.
go.
All right, ready? Where's your backpack as if you're in a suspense movie? And action.
You can talk.
Oh, it's right there.
Okay, well done.
All
There
right,
we go.
all right. I
Channing,
see
you should-
Channing in a play.
I'm sure this happens regularly for
All right.
you.
Hey, suspense movie. Where's your backpack? And go.
They're all afraid to talk.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
that's not bad.
All right, who's our winner of that? Channing again? I hear Channing. I think Channing actually forgot his backpack.
Okay. So, who's our overall winner, Ryan?
I think we're 2-2.
But we got to pick an overall.
Okay, come up here, side.
We'll let them pick.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna put a hand overhead if you want Nate to win. Channing,
Don't go far.
Nate, Channing. I think Channing takes a cake. All right.
Okay, so because it's back to school, you get to pick first. We have prizes for all 3 of you, but you get to pick. You can either go with the squishy pin, the rocket 12 color pin, or the race car pin. Race car pin, boom.
car pin.
Second place, you get your choice of what's left. 12 colors. Okay,
12
you
colors.
get squishy pin. Oh, and by the way, since you lost, you also get a bottle of whiteout to fix all your answers. So,
Hey
there it
guys,
is.
give it up.
One
for
more
everyone.
hand.
Hey, give it up for our contestants. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for being a good sport. That's a lot of fun. Hey, it's back to school week, and we're really excited for it. Now I want to get you guys involved in something real quick, all right? We're going to do this little stand-up game, all right? Right now, everyone here, there's going to be something on the board for you. Stand up if you've taken something to school that your child forgot. Go ahead and stand up right now. Let's go ahead and stand up right now if you've Googled how to do homework, yours or your child's. Hey, stand up if you ate breakfast on the way to school or work. Stand up if you've ever said, "Let's go, we're going to be late," in any scenario, school-related or otherwise. Stand up if you're exhausted just thinking about back to school, even if you're a parent or a student. And stand up, finally, if you made it here today to Current Church.
I really hope he hits the right button.
All right, thank you guys so much. We're going to sing a few songs today before we get into our message, so I hope you guys enjoy.
Step at a time, I've made up my mind. I know you will lead me through. Trust and obey, depend on your grace. I'm leaving the rest to you. And I don't know the answers you'll provide, but I know I can trust you with my life. Even when the evening comes, everything is said and done. I believe your faithfulness isn't finished. You are who you say you are. Finish every work you start. I believe your faithfulness isn't finished. Know that your ways are higher than mine, so why should I doubt you, Lord? 'Cause you're never late, you're always on time. So why would I rush the Father's heart? Even when the evening comes, everything is said and done. I believe the faithfulness isn't finished. You are who you say you are. You finish every work you start. I believe the faithfulness isn't finished. Lord, it isn't finished. Every work you start, I believe your faithfulness isn't finished. Even when the evening comes, everything is said and done. I believe your faithfulness isn't finished. You are who you say you are. You finish every work you start. I believe your faithfulness isn't finished. Lord, it isn't finished. Yeah,
What Jesus has done, no one could deny. He picked up the cross, laid down his life. This kind of love, his sacrifice, makes everything new, like water to wine. Jesus has paid it all. Oh, what a miracle! How great the love of God! Jesus has set us free, conquered the enemy. nothing we've earned, the gift of His grace. There on the cross, with power to save, He took all our sins and washed them away. Jesus has paid it all. Oh, what a miracle! How great the love of God! Jesus has set us free, conquered the enemy. How great the love of God, that He would die for us. How great the love of God. I believe in the power of the cross. I believe in the power of the cross. I believe in the power of the cross. How great the love of God. I believe in the power of the cross. I believe in the power of the cross. I believe in the power of the cross. How great the love of God. Yeah. I believe in the power of the cross. I believe in the power of the cross. I believe in the power of the cross. How great the love of God. How great is His love. Jesus has paid it all. Oh, what a miracle. How great the love of God. Jesus has set us free, conquered the enemy. How great the love of God, that He would die for us. How great the love of God. How great the love of God. Amen. You guys can be seated. Thank you very much for joining us in worship today. Over this last July, we had a few of our kids here from our congregation decide they were wanting to be baptized. So today we are going to celebrate Natalie being baptized. So if you turn your attention to the screen, there's a video to watch.
Hi, my name is Natalie, and I just wanted to share a little bit about why I want to be baptized. I was baptized when I was really little, so little that I don't even remember it happening. At the time, I know it was something special, and my previous church encouraged for me to get baptized at a young age. But I didn't really understand what it meant. It was something that happened before I could really make the choice for myself. Now that I've been coming to Current, I've been learning so much more about Jesus, who He is, and what it means to follow Him. I've made new friends, I've asked a lot of questions, and I've heard stories in the Bible that made me think about my own faith in a deeper way. I've started to understand that baptism is more than just getting in the water. It's a way to show everyone that I believe in Jesus and I want to live my life for Him. Even though I was baptized before, this time it feels different. This time it's not something I'm doing because somebody else chose it for me. It's something I want to do because I believe it. I believe that Jesus is God's Son and that He died for me and that He rose again. I've asked him into my heart, and I want to follow him every day. I want to keep learning and growing in my faith, and I want to share his love with others too. I'm getting baptized because I want to follow Jesus.
Natalie, based on your profession of faith, it's my privilege to baptize you in the name of the Father who loves you, the Son who gave his life for you, and the Spirit who lives inside of you.
Yeah! Give it up for Natalie! Yes! Hey, Natalie, that was awesome. Give me a high five. I'm going to have everyone out there right now, we're going to give her a big, giant air five. So on the count of 3, just give her a high five and you're going to give one back to him, okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Woo! All right. Thank you so much for coming up here. You can go ahead and go. Man, that is so exciting. I love seeing kids' lives changed. It is so great. And that was actually really cool too, because Natalie is a part of our community group that I'm in as well. And so it's been awesome to be able to see her progression and her become friends with my daughters and the rest of all the ones in our community group. And many of you guys out there who's in a community group really feel the same way. And so actually, we're going to take that time right now to talk about community groups. So we actually have, there's going to be a QR code on the screen behind me. If you are at all interested in community groups, get your phone out right now and take a picture. Or not take a picture, but scan the QR code up here, because we are launching community groups right now starting next month. And so right now what I am doing is I am getting all of you guys together who wants to be in a community group, and I'm going to try to get you guys in a group so that you guys can have a space to build community. I can tell you just for experience, in the I think 2 years now that we've been a part of our community group, they mean so much to me. And it wouldn't take much for you guys to look at many of the people up here and the people that are serving around you every day, to go look at their Facebook feed. I guarantee you it won't take you long to find someone who has a picture of someone from their community group just hanging out and being there for each other. We've had so many different things pop up that our community group's been there for us, and we've had to be there for them, and it's been absolutely amazing. So we need people who want to be just in a community group. We need people who want to be leaders of a community group, and it's not hard. We give you all the tools. And we need people that would say, yeah, you know what, maybe I don't want to lead, but I have a great place at my house that can host a community group one day a week. So we need all that stuff. After service today, I'm going to be right up here on the landing. If you have any questions about it at all, coming to talk to me does not sign you up. All right, just it's a question time. If you have any questions about it, come up and talk to me. I'd love to tell you more about it. If you have any questions about what it happens, what to expect, all that stuff, you can be there. But I can tell you this right now. Everyone in here needs to be in a community group, because that's how community is built. That's how you really get to go deeper with Jesus, is because whenever you have people around you that are challenging you and being there for you on an everyday basis, that's when change happens. So get in a community group. I'd love to get you guys in one. Hey, we're going to start a brand new service. We're going to start a brand new series today called Friendology. I'm really, really excited for it. So if you guys will, turn your eyes to the screen here.
In an ever-increasingly disconnected world, you may think making meaningful connections is impossible. But making friends as an adult is easier than you think. Take Andrew. Andrew has been working remotely for the last 3 years, and he needs some friends. With these simple tips, watch Andrew make some new friends. Here's a tip: ask thoughtful questions.
May I ask you a question?
Nice job getting permission.
Have you had that mole checked by a professional?
You just met him.
But if I save his life, then he will become my friend.
Nope.
Because I saved his life, you have to be friends with people that save your life.
Let's try something else. Connect over pop culture.
I also enjoy that television show.
Great job, Andrew.
It's crazy how everyone dies in that last episode.
No.
Oh, you haven't seen all of it?
You can recover.
Well, everyone dies in general. So it's really not a spoiler to say that everyone dies in a show, because everybody dies all the time.
Let's stop talking and work on eye contact. Andrew, don't forget to blink. Maybe making friends as an adult is not as easy as we think. Good thing there's Friendology. Let's tune in now.
Sorry, what do I do with my eyes to make him my friend? I'm not understanding.
So that was fun. And they change every week, by the way, so come back for more next week. So just over 2 years ago, as our country was actually starting to really come out of COVID, we were starting to truly recover from all of that. At that time, the Surgeon General of our nation issued a warning to our nation, a warning of an epidemic of loneliness and isolation that was sweeping across our country. And maybe you've seen this epidemic of loneliness and isolation. Maybe you personally have experienced it to some degree in your own life. And it's not that we're not around people. It's just that even when we are around people, we tend to be or we tend to feel alone. And certainly social media has contributed to this. Technology that we use has contributed to this. Our COVID lockdowns, being locked away in our homes for practically a year, contributed to that. But really what those three things did is they really just kind of exacerbated an already growing problem in our country. And so the Surgeon General Murphy, he and his team, they released an 80-page report based on clinical research of people all over our country. And what they determined and what they discovered is that more than 1 out of every 2, or about 1 out of every 2 adults, battled loneliness before COVID. Their study showed that we battled this feeling of loneliness before COVID, and this came from a variety of different places and different stages of life. It didn't really matter where you were from. They conducted this study with people from all over the country, different places. They had different backgrounds, different economic status, and yet despite the differences between all of these people that they surveyed, the results, the quotes that came out of the study were all the same or very similar. Some of the quotes that came out of the study were things like this: well, I feel like I have to shoulder all of life's burdens by myself. Some of the other quotes that came out of this report are things like, if I disappear tomorrow, no one would even notice. And what they found is they went through this study, and it goes back, and they kind of studied our culture and stuff going back about 50 years, going back to about the mid-70s. Since about the mid-70s, more and more people have these feelings of being isolated and being invisible, and feeling insignificant. That these three things here, being isolated, feeling invisible, and feeling insignificant, these feelings are, it's just infecting our culture to a great degree. And it doesn't matter who you are, it's all stages of life in different places. It's all ages of life. Going back to, in fact, what they discovered is going back to since the 70s, adults, like just all ages and stages, going back to the 70s, adults, time spent alone is up 20% since the 70s, meaning we spend 20% more of our awake time alone than we did then. And when they studied, get this one's crazy, when they studied millennials and Gen Z, so that's like, I'm at kind of the top end of the millennials, my generation down, they've discovered that time spent with friends just in the last 20 years is down 70%. Time spent with friends just in the last 20 years in millennials and Gen Z down 70%. That's a huge number. And think about this. What happened 20 years ago? It was the dawn of social media, the social media age. We started developing apps that we spent our time on, and websites that we would waste our time on, and devices that we would use that we would waste our time on. Those things certainly are contributing to those statistics. When they looked at Gen Z, 25% of Gen Z, that's people that are currently in their early 20s, 25%, 1 out of every 4, is clinically depressed. And our suicide rate is at a higher level than it has ever been in any generation in all of history. And now that with all those stats, I've probably depressed all of you in this room, just wait, there's more. It goes on. It gets worse. The effect that they tell us that this has on us, the being isolated and being alone, the effect that it has on us, it affects our health in a variety of ways. It affects our mental health. That anxiety, depression, and stress, those are at all-time highs. And because our anxiety, depression, and stress are at all-time highs, it leads to greater chances of suicidal thoughts for those of us that are dealing with these things. When it comes to our physical health, they discovered that being isolated and alone leads to higher rates of heart disease, dementia, and diabetes. In fact, when it comes to heart disease and high blood pressure, they've discovered that there's been a 30% increase in heart disease and high blood pressure as a result of isolation and loneliness. That when it comes to dementia, there's a 50% increase in dementia patients because of this. Basically, what they're telling us is that when we lack social connection, what they've discovered is that when we lack social connection, it increases our chances of premature death. Get this, to the same rate as if you were to smoke 15 cigarettes a day. 15 cigarettes a day, that's how much it increases your chance of premature death due to not having any social connection. And it's not just individual risks at play either. It's not just that we're individually at risk from this. Our society is at risk from this. Our culture is at risk from this. They've discovered that academic achievement and career performance are both down significantly. And when it comes to healthcare expenses, they've discovered that there has been an added $6.7 billion a year spent annually here in just the U.S. on socially isolated seniors. Just on seniors. $6.7 billion a year on socially isolated seniors. This also has an effect on groups of people. It also has effect on our communities. When it comes to our society health risks, they've discovered that economic prosperity, safety and resilience, and our social and political landscapes in our individual communities are all affected as well. When they studied our communities, different communities around the country post-COVID, what they discovered is that the less socially connected communities recovered slower in every area, physically, socially, economically, all of it. And it's not just a political problem, by the way. It's not a political problem at all. It's a human problem, as we're going to discover today. And so the Surgeon General, the conclusion as a result of all of that, the Surgeon General's conclusion was that we are wired, that human beings, people, we're wired for social connection. And that being socially connected, it improves our personal health. And being socially connected is vital for our societal health. Now, I would venture to guess that for most of us, we've sensed this, we've felt this. It's not a big surprise that I would share all of this information with you. But it can be very tempting for us when we hear these types of things and we recognize it, we know what's going on. It can be very tempting for us to go, well, I'm not going to do anything about it. We just go on with our lives and we just continue to let culture slide into, nothingness, into poor health as a culture. But I don't know if you noticed that word vital's on screen. Vital means important. It's kind of a critical thing for the health of us as individuals and for us as a society. So because of that, over the next few weeks, we're doing a series called Friendology. And through this series, over the next 3 Sundays, we're going to talk about how we go about creating a culture in our church and in our community and around the world, how we create a culture of life-giving relationships. And every single one of us in this room, we all need life-giving relationships because all of us, we're all becoming more insulated. We're all becoming more isolated. We're all becoming more independent. And we're going to talk about those things over the next few weeks. And if you're here today and you consider yourself a follower of Jesus, you consider yourself a Christian, if you're here today and you're a Christian, you should know better than to be insulated and isolated and independent. We should know better than that. We don't need a Surgeon General to tell us that those are not good things for us. And the reason that we as Christians should know that is because it goes back to the oldest problem for humanity all the way back to the beginning. The very first problem that humanity has ever experienced. It was the very first problem, by the way, before sin even showed up on the planet. But before we look at the very first problem, we're going to kind of take a moment just to set up that problem. So we're going to go all the way back to the beginning of Scripture, to the beginning of our Bibles, all the way back to Genesis chapter 1. Many of you know how Genesis chapter 1 starts. If you don't know, it starts like this. In the beginning, God created. Now, some of you here today, depending on your faith background, your experience, you may struggle to believe that God created the heavens and the earth. And that's okay. If you're here today and you're exploring faith and you're not sure what you believe, it's okay. This is a safe place to explore that and figure that out. But we believe that in the beginning, God created. What's important here for our purposes today is that we're introducing the fact that there is a who, there's a somebody, there's a God that is behind everything. And we can debate the details, even those of us who believe that God created the heavens and the earth. We debate the details on what that looked like, and we can debate all of that. But I believe that God created the heavens and the earth, and I don't believe it because the Bible tells me so. I personally believe it because Jesus affirmed it. And then Jesus went on to predict his own death and resurrection and pulled it off. So I think if a guy can predict his own death and resurrection, pull that off, we can believe what he has to say. And because he affirmed this, that's what I believe. And so in the creation story, we're told that God created. He creates. And basically what God does is he turns chaos, he turns nothingness into order. And after creating order, God says this order is good, which therefore means that the chaos, the nothingness that came before was not good. So we had not good, and then he created, and it was good. And after 5 days of creating all the different things we see, land and water and plants and animals, and creating all of the things that we know, after 5 days of that, we're told that then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness. Now, this can be a little bit confusing for us. Who is the us here? Why does God refer to himself in plurality? This is the very first introduction that we have of the theological idea that God is three persons. You may have heard the term Trinity. It just means you may be familiar with it from the movie Matrix. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the Trinity of God, which is God in three persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And these three persons, we believe, they all make up our God. They make up one God. And our God in three person, he creates man, and in his words, let us make man in our image. There's a popular phrase that comes from this. It's a popular phrase in Latin. It's the phrase imago Dei. Imago Dei. In Latin, it means the image of God. There's actually a painting that is often referred to as Imago Dei. You're very familiar with it, even if you don't know that it's called that. It looks just like this, right here. This is Imago Dei. It was painted by Michelangelo on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. I love how God is reaching out. It's intended to look like man is mirroring, imaging God, because we were made in God's image. So again, it's called Imago Dei in Latin, which again just translates as mankind was made in the image of God. What does that mean for you and for me? What it means is that for us, we image, we mirror, we reflect God in the world. That's what we do as mankind. We reflect, we mirror God in this world. But then we discover on page 2, like literally page 2 of our Bibles, we flip the page after all this creation happens, and we discover the very first problem in all of humanity. And again, it's not sin. The first problem is not sin like you might think it is. We're told that the Lord God said, it is not good for the man to be alone. So the first not good that we get is our chaos, our nothingness before he created everything. That's the first not good. And then he creates order and he calls that good. And then he says, hold on, there's something else that's not good. This is the first problem. The first problem is not sin, but the first problem for mankind is isolation. The fact that mankind is alone, that man is not designed. God did not create us, design us, did not design you to be alone. And it's interesting, a lot of times, we immediately in our minds, just because of our culture and the way a lot of times we're taught scripture and everything, we immediately go to the gender roles here. So God created for Adam a woman. But actually what's interesting here is in the original language, when it's translated into English, it is not translated, it's not technically the word male or man as in a singular male. He does not use the word in the original language ish. He uses the word Adam, which we often translate as Adam, But Adam, correctly translated, means mankind. What God is saying here is it is not good for humankind, for humans to be alone. And again, this is common knowledge. We know this. We don't live it out very well sometimes, but we know that this is true, right? In fact, we've known this from some common knowledge just from some TED Talks that have come from the last several years. One of those TED Talks comes from a guy named Robert Waldinger. It's one of the most popular TED Talks of all time. It's called What Makes a Good Life? And this TED Talk was based off of the longest running study that's ever occurred of what makes humans, what makes men and women happy. It's a study that goes all the way back to 1938 Harvard. In 1938, Harvard started a study that was supposed to last 10 years. That was the plan. They were going to go 1 decade. But then that study just continued on and on and on through the years. It was passed from generation to generation there at Harvard, and they continued it, and eventually it landed in the hands of Robert Waldinger, who gave a TED Talk, who's, again, become one of the most popular TED Talks of all time. And that TED Talk was all about how do we have and how do we live happy lives. And this study that started at Harvard in 1938, it started by studying 724 people, and every 2 years, they would reconnect with these 724 people and they would ask them the exact same questions. And here's what they discovered. Here's what they've discovered over time. They discovered that the people who are the most satisfied in their relationships at age 50 were the healthiest at age 80. It was not the richest people, not the people who in their 50s were the richest. It was not the people who in their 50s were the physically healthiest, thank goodness. It was not the people who in their 50s were the healthiest eaters, thank you, Jesus. That's just for me, personally, speaking for a friend. It was the people whose relationships were the healthiest at age 50. Those were the people who were the physically healthiest at age 80. Which means despite our popular beliefs, despite what perhaps our culture likes to tell us, or maybe even our own inner voice likes to tell us from time to time, money does not lead to happiness. More vacations with your spouse does not lead to happiness. Being physically fit and fitness is not what leads to happiness. Those are all great things, but that's not what leads to happiness. Pursuing a career, not what leads to happiness. None of those things are what leads to it. This 85-year study of 724 people found that positive relationships are what keep us happier, healthier, and help us live longer lives. And this isn't surprising because this was the very first problem in all of humanity, that it was not good for people to be alone. And yet we're told that for Adam, no suitable helper was found. It's interesting that humanity, you and I, we were designed, think about this, we were designed not to be alone. We were designed to be in relationship by a God who is in relationship, who is in community. Again, by a God who is in community with himself, Father, Son, and Spirit. That God who's in community made us in his likeness, which means you and I, we were created for community. It means that you not only have the capacity to relate, but you actually have the necessity to relate to other people by design. It's the way you were designed. It's the way you were created. This is literally how you mirror God in the world. But again, there's a problem. For Adam, no suitable helper was found. And so we're told that God fashions, I like that, God fashions for Adam a helpmeet. You may have heard the term helpmate. The actual correct translation into English is more this right here, help meet. It means equal. God created for Adam an equal. So that the two of them could come together and carry life's burdens together with one another. They could do the work of life with one another so that they could build a family with one another. It's interesting, the very first relationship that God builds or creates in this moment, he creates the first family. The first model that we have for relationships in our lives, it starts with family, the place that we learn, the place that we find our identity. It starts with a family. In fact, all therapists, all good therapists, will tell you that a healthy functioning family is the optimal environment for human development. And I know that, like, for some of us, because we come from different backgrounds and we all have, like, especially in our country and the way things have just shaped and morphed over the years, I know that this can be a little bit tricky and uncomfortable for some of us to think about. But did you know that just thinking about God creating the first family, did you know that family estrangement is at an all-time high? Which is significant. It's a big deal. A study at Cornell discovered that more than 1 in 4 American adults are estranged from their family. That's a pretty staggering statistic when you think about it. More than 1 in 4 adults are estranged from their family. They're disconnected from their family. And we know why. This really goes back to, and you can see it where it started, it goes back to the erosion of the nuclear family in the 70s. The erosion of the nuclear family in the 70s has had dramatic effects on our relationships. It's reshaping all of our relationships, not just in our families, but the way that we relate to people. Statistically, right now, people are more willing than ever to divorce. Statistically, right now, people are more willing than ever to disengage from relationships when things get tough, rather than actually fighting for our relationships, rather than actually trying to reconcile in our relationships, rather than trying to fix them. Just statistically, we are at an all-time high of people just being willing to divorce and disengage from difficult relationships. If we fast forward to the New Testament, so this is the creation story. If we fast forward to the second half of our Bibles, the New Testament, Jesus shows up on the scene. And it's interesting, Jesus is the first to kind of start introducing language that uses familial terms, family type terms. He starts referring to God as what? Our Father. God is our Father. In fact, our relationship with God throughout the New Testament uses familial terms. It's a familial relationship. He is our Father. We are His adopted children. We're adopted into His family. Those of us that are in the family of God, we refer to each other in the New Testament, they're referred to as brothers and sisters in the family of God. The family of God, what that means is that if you've made a decision to follow Jesus and you're a Christian and you're part of the family of God, that family becomes your primary family in this world as Jesus followers. And that family, we're us together, we're empowered by a God who desires for you and for me to have healthy relationships with one another. In fact, over the next couple of Sundays, over the next couple of weeks as we finish out and go through this series, we're going to talk more about one anothering. The term one another is used many, many times over and over and over again in the New Testament. Care for one another, carry one another's burdens, love one another, show up for one another, be there for one another, like just one another, over and over. We're going to talk more about some of the specific ones in the next couple of Sundays. But these one another's, they show up throughout the New Testament. What does that look like to one another? One another. Well, the first step, if we're going to be there and carry each other's burdens and be there, show up for one another, the first step is intentionality. If we're going to one another like Jesus wants us to one another, we got to be diligent. We got to have diligence. But instead of being diligent about our relationships in our country and in our world, we are rapidly moving away from deep social connections. We are rapidly moving away from deep friendships. We're rapidly moving away from connection with other people. And this is more and more evident. This is more evident and existent in adults. Those of you that are adults in this room, it's more existent for us. I mean, think about it. For when we're kids and when we're teenagers, there's a system that's kind of built in to help us build deep, ongoing, lasting friendships and relationships, right? When we're teenagers and when we're kids, and college students, we're in school. Like it's back to school time. There's a built-in mechanism for your kids for them to develop relationships and to be around people. They're in school. They're spending, hours with these people. They're doing life with one another. They're doing sports with other people. Like there's just this built-in time to build deep friendships. I relate it to when I was in high school. I had a couple of best friends that we did everything together, and they were the deepest, best friends, like some of the best friends I've ever had in my entire life. And then school ended, and what happened? We've hardly talked to each other in 20 years. Which means for us adults, we have to be more diligent. We have to actually be intentional about it. For me, this is one of the reasons, some of you know this, I started at the beginning of this year, I started doing musical theater, and I have loved it. It's been awesome. And do you know why I did that? There's a few big reasons, and one of the biggest reasons is because I knew I needed to be more intentional about actually meeting new people and making new friends and building deep social connections outside of the church, because this can consume my life when you lead a church. So I decided to be diligent about it. But for a lot of us as adults, nearly all of our relationships, they're practical, they're functional, and they're transactional. Nearly all of our relationships. This is every single one of us in this room. We all have, almost all of our relationships are this right here. They're practical, they're functional. Like they're the people that we live with, our families or our roommates. They're our neighbors across the street or next door. They're the people that we go and sit next to while we spectate at a sporting event for our kids. It's the cashier that we run into every day. It's the person that we work out next to at the gym. Even if we don't know their name, we work out next to them. A lot of our relationships are transactional. The people that we work with, our co-workers, the people that we serve with at church. There's some sort of transaction happening. I'm helping you, you're helping me. the delivery driver that drops off your Amazon package, your kids as teachers, those are transactional relationships. That fantasy football guy that seems to only text you when he wants you to accept his trade that he sent your way, those are transactional relationships. That's most of our relationships. For me and my family, when we lived in Minnesota several years ago, we forged some really, really deep friendships, specifically through our community group. Ryan mentioned community groups earlier. We had a community group in Minnesota that, those friends were the best friends my wife and I have ever had in our lives. And we've met each other through our community group. And they were amazing, to the point where when we moved away from Minnesota, we moved to Ohio. And when we moved to Ohio, we held on to those relationships. And when we moved to Missouri, we still held on to our Minnesota relationships. We had some really great friends in Ohio. We've got some really great friends here in Missouri, but those relationships were so tight that we've held on to them. And in some ways, it's been difficult, to be honest, for us to want to let people into our lives again and to actually be intentional and diligent about building relationships, because those were so good and we don't want to lose those friendships. We don't want to lose those relationships again. We like to call it in our family, we actually have a magnet on our fridge that says, friends are the family that you choose. Some people call it family. These people were our family. And we've had to learn, we got to be diligent about meeting new people and developing new family. It's powerful, you know? But can I just ask you, just for yourself, ask yourself this question today. Have you settled for efficient relationships? Have you settled for efficient relationships, these types of relationships? You might have settled for efficient, but are these sufficient for you? And the whole time we have these friendships, we convince ourselves, or just the practical, functional, transactional relationships, we convince ourselves that they're deep enough. We also convince ourselves that our social media is keeping us connected to one another. And yet, studies actually prove that social media is the primary cause of our isolation today. And social media is not going away. Don't get me wrong. There are people who make a lot of money off of it that are going to ensure that social media does not go anywhere, okay? And in addition to that, I personally believe that social media can be a good thing when we use it in smart ways and we don't overconnect on it. It's not going away, but what social media does is it creates an illusion for you and for me that we have meaningful friendships. It makes us think we have meaningful friendships. Let me just ask you this. Before social media, go back 20 years ago. If you had nothing to do on a Friday night and you were sitting at home by yourself on a Friday night, what did that mean? It meant you had no friends. That's what that meant, right? Now, so often on a Friday night, what do we prefer? We prefer to sit at home with no friends, scrolling our social media feeds going, I have all kinds of friends. I have 1,287 friends on Facebook right here. I've got all the friends that I need, right? And we think we have friendships, but we don't. Because it requires community, friendships, deep relationships. You know what it requires? It requires intention. It requires diligence. We have to be diligent. So just be honest. Just ask yourself the question, have you settled for efficient? Have you settled for practical and functional relationships? Have you settled for relationships with people just simply because those are the ones that are around? They're not necessarily the people that I need. They're not helping me grow. They're not helping me, they're not challenging me. They're not caring for me in those troubling times. They don't, they're just kind of there. They're where I am. They're when I'm at home and when I'm at work. To get past practical and functional, we have to work at that. But it's not convenient. And because it's inconvenient, we don't put in the work. Have you settled for transactional? How many of your relationships are just transactional relationships? Where somebody's doing something for you and you're doing something for them, or maybe it's just one way. And there's no actual spiritual growth. There's no actual mental health or mental growth. Nobody's actually challenging you emotionally. How many of your relationships are just transactional? Are these relationships, are these sufficient for you? Maybe perhaps for you, there's somebody in your life, they're there. There's a person that you need in your life. Or maybe you know that they need you in their life. Maybe you're isolated. Maybe they're living isolated. And you guys know how it goes. You guys know how all adult relationships go. you know? Hey, you know what we should do? We should get together. Yeah, text me. I will. I'll text you. We should totally hang out. Yeah, we should totally hang out. We should do that sometime. We totally should. And then what do? We don't, right? Hey, you know, we should do more than just sit in rows at church on Sunday morning and face the same direction and hear a message on Sunday. We should actually, you know, hang out. Hey, you know, we should spend more than just this time sitting at a football game or a baseball game and, you know, checking this thing out, sitting side by side. We should actually spend some meaningful time together. Let's do that. Yeah. But it's rare. Almost never happens anymore. Why? Because we're too busy. At least that's what we convince ourselves. But really, I think a lot of times we don't do it because we're just too interested in scrolling. We're just scrolling too much. If anybody comes to mind for you, like, hey, I need them and they need me, you owe it to yourself. And you owe it to them to make it happen. Because again, on our own, by ourselves, God says, on our own, we create chaos. We create chaos and it is not good. God says that chaos, that mess that we create for ourselves, it is not good. You do not do well on your own, right? Let's be honest. When we are by ourselves and we try to go through life on our own, we make a mess of our lives. And yet in the beginning, we're told God created good. God created good things. One of those good things that he created was light. Have you ever experienced, some of you like me, you've experienced some relationships where somebody showed up in your life and it was as if they shed some light. It was as if they brought light into your mess. It's like they helped you with that mess that you were walking through because they were there at the right time and you needed them and they needed you. They shed some light in such a way that it helped you clean all that up. Do you know why? Because that's the way God designed you. That's the way God created you. We need more of that in our culture. And if we fail to do that, this is what we're told. This is one of the statements that came out of the report from the Surgeon General. If we fail to build a more connected society and live more connected lives, we will pay an ever-increasing price in the form of our individual and our collective health and our well-being. If we fail to build a more connected society. He says, and we will continue to splinter and divide until we can no longer stand as a community or a country. Instead of coming together to take on the great challenges before us, we will further retreat to our corners, angry, sick, and alone. If we fail to build a more connected society, we will further retreat and find ourselves more angry, more sick, and more alone. So again, we can just continue to drift and just say, is what it is. Or we can fix it. So who's going to fix it? I would say this, if you're here today and again, you would say, I'm a Christian, I'm trying to follow Jesus with my life, I'm trying to live that out. This is your chance to fix it. Because in a culture, as the slide said, in a culture that is splintering and dividing, we have a God who greatly desires to pull us together, to unite us. And what do we unite around as Jesus followers? We unite around the sacrifice of Jesus. That's our unifying call, the sacrifice of Jesus, his death and his resurrection. It makes us the family of God. This is your chance, and this is my chance to pull together. And your personal health and our community health, the health of our church, it's at stake. But we have to be intentional, and we have to be diligent. We have to prioritize community. And I can't tell you exactly what that means for you. I mean, I've made some suggestions. Reach out to some people that you know you need in your life and actually be intentional and, not just talk about getting together, but actually getting together. But what I can do today is I can offer you something that our church provides. Ryan already brought it up earlier in our service. But when we need community, one of the best ways to do that is through community groups. In fact, I know Ryan already challenged you to do this earlier, but what I want to ask everybody to do is just, if you didn't earlier, go ahead and pull up your phone, and I want you just to scan that QR code. I don't care if you don't even follow through. I'd love for you to follow through, but I just want to make sure that you guys all know how to get there today. So I'd love for you to scan that QR code. If you're watching online, you can go to connect.mycurrent.church, or if you just want to type that in on your phone, you can do that as well. But I want to invite all of us to do that right now because we want to help you find people Perhaps, you may not even know it, but perhaps some of the best friends you will ever make in your entire life this fall as we kick off groups. And so it's really simple. You just go there, let us know you're interested. We'll get you connected to a group as soon as we launch those, probably the first week of September or the second week of September. But can I just tell you, this is not, although we are pushing groups right now because that's what's coming up in the fall, this is not intended to be a message that's all about community groups. While we want to get you connected to one, that's not the point of this message. The point of this message is that God created you to be in community, to be in relationship with other people. And can I just challenge you for a second? You need more than one person in your life. You need more than just your spouse. You need more, as the original language put it, you need more help meets in your life. You just do. Or else you're going to find yourself spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, your health is just going to keep deteriorating. The stats prove it. You need somebody in your life that's going to help you shoulder life. And you need people in your life that you can help shoulder their burdens and carry their burdens as well. God did not create you. God did not design you to be alone. In a world, as the quote said, one more time, in a world that is splintering and dividing, and we see a lot of splintering and dividing in our culture right now, we have an opportunity as individuals, as a church, here in our community, we have an opportunity to lead people to the family that they were created for, that they were designed for, that you were created for. This is our opportunity. Will you pray with me? God, this can be one of those messages. It tends to be one of those messages that I hear, and I know other people in this room probably hear too, and we feel that tug a little bit, like, you know what, I am isolated. I have kind of insulated myself from the world. You know, I do struggle to actually work through the tough stuff in my relationships. And when I'm working through tough stuff just in life in general, I do tend to kind of push people aside. I think this is one of those messages, God, that we can all, that's the feeling. That's how we feel. And yet the tendency, at least for myself, and I'm sure I pray for many people, I'm sure I relate to many people in this room, the tendency is to just go, can't really do much about it. So God, I pray for everyone in this room that you would challenge us to actually take steps to do something about it, to put ourselves in circles and in rooms with people that are going to challenge us, that are going to love us, that are going to walk with us through our messes, through our chaos, through the not good in our life, so that those things can become good. Because you created us for good. You created us for the good that we find in relationship and in community. So God, I pray for every single person in this room that you would help us to be diligent, to be intentional. Give us the wisdom to know what to do with today. And give us the courage to actually take the steps and do it. Not just say, hey, I'm interested in a community group, tell me more, but actually when September comes, to show up every week, to put ourselves in those living rooms or those kitchens, around those tables with other people that actually care about us, that could become potentially some of our best friends. Give us the courage to actually show up and do something with this. We love you, Jesus. We pray it all in your name. Amen. Hey, next week, part 2 of Friendology. I'm excited about this one. It's going to be a really good one, a little challenging as well. Ryan is going to be right here. Is that where you're going to be? Yes. He's going to be right here. Talk to Ryan about groups if you didn't already let him know through the forum that you're interested. Ryan will be in touch with you if you've done that. And the QR code, if you didn't get a chance to do it, you bad disobedient people. Just kidding. If you didn't get a chance to do it, it'll be on screen behind us or behind me here as we wrap up. So you guys have a great week. Have a great Sunday. We'll see you back here next Sunday for Friendology Part 2.